When creating designs for the laser cutter, keep in mind that the laser cutter functions in two very different ways. The laser cutter can engrave or etch any image. In fact, whatever you see in your design program is exactly what the laser cutter will engrave or etch into the workpiece. But the laser cutter also can make what are called vector cuts, where it follows a straight line. This is a very quick process and can be used to cut all the way through your workpiece if it's less than 1/4 of an inch thick, or it can be used to just engrave or etch lines. In order to use the vector cutting feature, you do need vector information, so we would use Inkscape to create vectors. If we do create our vector lines in different colors, we will be able to tell the laser cutter to cut one color all the way through, and then by adjusting the speed of the laser and the intensity of the laser, we could assign other depths of cut to different colors. You can use up to 7 colors to assign different depths of cuts with your vectors. So I'm going to open up my Inkscape program and bring in an image, import an image of a lion. And when creating stickers for the vinyl cutter, we would always trace the bitmap of the image. You don't necessarily have to do that because the laser cutter will engrave this lion. If I wanted it to go through and make lines on the outside and then accentuate the lion, I could then trace the bitmap and get vectors for that, but that's not what I want. What I do want is to be able to cut this engraved lion out of the wood. So I need a shape which will be the frame of my sign that I'm making. I'm going to change the color of my shape to not have a fill and to have a stroke color that is one of the primary RGB colors. So right now I'm going to go for a nice green color. I am also going to include a smaller hole, a smaller circle right here in green so that I can hang my pendant. What I'll do is I'll set the laser cutter to cut all the way through any of the green lines. Of course, I don't have vectors here yet. I have to go to Path and select Object to Path to turn this shape into a vector graphic. And then, as you see, when I hover over it, barely you can see it, in vector mode, it does highlight a blue to verify, and then when I click on it I can see the vectors. So that could be cut by the laser cutter. In addition to this, I think I want to put some text on here. So I'm going to go ahead and type in here lions. Go to my text. Now make it a little bit larger here so everybody can see it. Of course, I don't have it selected, so it's not working. Oh no, it's just because I need to click on apply. Okay, so this is currently not showing up when I'm in the vector tab, so that means that it's not going to get vector cut by my by the laser cutter. It would get engraved. Now, after doing that, I see the highlighting showing up, so I know that with this current image here, the text, the laser cutter would engrave the dark black, and then afterwards I could set it to come back in and do some nice thin lines around the outside of the engraving to really outline and highlight that. In order to do that, I need to set the stroke paint color to a different color though, so that I can tell the laser cutter to not cut the yellow all the way through. The last thing I want to do is center everything. So I will go to the Align and Distribute tool palette and center those on the vertical axis. And then on the horizontal axis, it really just depends on what I think looks good. And I'm going to bring that line down, and I'm going to bring that up a little bit. So this image, if I was to bring it into the Retina Engrave program and send it to the laser cutter, would first engrave a lion and the word lions. Afterwards, I would set it to cut the yellow vector lines at, maybe like 10% so that it would outline the engraved letters. And then lastly, it would come in and it would cut all the way through this circle and the oval, making something that would be appropriate to put a chain on and make a pendant or an ornament. If your design did not have a clear bordered outline, you would want to add one in. Mine does, so it doesn't really need it, but if it didn't have that oval around it, I would want to put a nice yellow border around it centered on my image, and that will help position the images for the laser cutter. You could check and see if this has worked properly by going to the File menu and clicking on Print. Before you do this, you need to open up Retina Engrave on your desktop. When Retina Engrave is open on your desktop, you will see that under the Print File menu, it will say Full Spectrum Engineering Driver. You can select that, click on Print, and it will send your image from Inkscape into Retina Engrave, where you'll be able to look at it and verify that it will cut properly. At that point, you want to show your image to me, and I'll be able to look at it and tell you if you need to make any changes in Inkscape to ensure that your work piece is cut just like you want it to.